I'm sitting in the back of an RV-8 aircraft, but this isn't just any RV-8. In fact, the one I'm flying in today has performed aerobatic formation maneuvers at hundreds of air shows over the years, and even though I have a few thousand hours of experience flying in formation, I knew that today's mission was going to be a big challenge because I've never flown in an RV-8 before, and I wasn't sure how the aircraft would handle. However, I was also being judged by pilots that used to be part of one of the world's largest civilian formation flying teams, and the best part is that I'm taking you along for the ride. I also want to thank Avemco for sponsoring this video, but more about them later. For right now, let's get started. I'm Hoover, and welcome to Hoover's Hangar. This is the RV-8, one of the most popular experimental two-seat tandem aircraft that's ever been built, and today I was going to get to fly it for the very first time. But the most important thing about today's mission is that we need to stay safe, and that's why we sat down and thoroughly briefed everything that we were about to do. By the way, the three men seated at the table with me are Bill, Jerry, and Legs, and all three of them have around 45 to 55 years of flying experience, and they've performed at dozens, if not hundreds of air shows. But the thing is, Bill watches the channel, and when he saw that the RV-8 was on my list of aircraft to fly, he reached out to offer me a chance to fly with him and the guys, and it turned out that his airfield was only about 45 minutes from my house in Charlotte, so I couldn't say no. That being said, in order to call this mission successful, we needed to define our mission objectives. First, we needed to warm up with a few basic formation maneuvers, so that way I could learn the sight pictures and how the aircraft handles. Next, we needed to practice some rejoins to help ensure that we could safely get the formation back together, and then we were going to try some more aggressive maneuvering to see if I could stay in formation, and finally, I was going to try and land a tailwheel aircraft for the very first time. By the way, this is Jerry, and he's the pilot that I'm going to be flying with today, but we'll talk more about him later. For right now, it's time to start the engine and begin the mission. The first thing you need to know is that the RV-8 is part of the legendary Vans Aircraft RV series designed by Richard Van Grunsven, the man who founded Vans Aircraft back in 1973, which just so happened to be around the same time that Jerry started flying, and I was about to learn a little bit of the history behind the aircraft that we were flying in today.
Yeah, I've had this little airplane since 2006. The guy that built it was an old F-86 Sabre pilot in Korea.
Okay.
And then the guy that did most of the construction, I got pictures of this thing.
Traffic South 2892 Echo is
sitting below Glacier Grill, you know, the P-38 that was in the ice.
Yeah.
When they rebuilt that, the same guy did this.
Alright, in case you missed it, Jerry said that the guy that built this aircraft used to be an F-86 Sabre pilot, often referred to as the Sabre jet, which was the first transonic jet fighter. And the reason why I wanted to share this is because the very first fighter squadron that I was in was the 336 Rocketeers, which as it turns out was the first squadron to fly the F-86 in combat during the Korean War, the first to shoot down a MiG-15, and the first to engage in an all-jet air battle in the F-86. Also, I want to point out that Jerry mentioned that the guy that built this RV-8 was the same guy that worked on the P-38 aircraft known as Glacier Girl, an aircraft from World War II that was buried under 260 feet of ice in Greenland for over 50 years, but eventually was found and recovered, and then a dedicated team restored it over a 10-year period to get it flying again. That being said, for today's flight, we were the number 2 aircraft in the formation, and as we started to taxi out, it's worth mentioning that the RV-8 was originally designed to resemble World War II fighter aircraft ergonomics, giving pilots a true fighter-style seating position and feel, which was something that I was looking forward to experiencing. Basically, you're seated directly on the center line of the aircraft, and that gives you a true sense of connection to the aircraft movement and the attitude, and the bubble-style canopy also provides incredible visibility in all directions. Something else that I really liked was the control stick rather than having a side stick or a yoke, and even though the aircraft was designed to be flown from the front seat, I had everything I needed to fly it from the back.
I've owned 8 airplanes over my life, and I've never owned a nose wheel airplane other than a tandem seat.
Okay. All RV aircraft are experimental aircraft.
That's correct. Experimental amateur builds, which is different. I think you flew in the Yaks, and I believe they're experimental for display or demonstration.
So anyone can go out and buy one of these aircraft and put it together themselves.
Yes. There are about 14,000 of them flying right now, and there's probably another 5,000 under construction. The good news about experimental is you can do all your own maintenance with the exception of the condition inspection if you bought or just have the airplane. If you built the airplane, they get what's called the builder's certificate, and they're even able to do sign off their own condition inspection once a year. And it's a good idea, but I'd rather have more sets of eyes than mine on it.
And we're an RV-8, but the other aircraft in the formation are also RV-8s, correct?
Yeah, both of them are. His is an 8A, and the A model designates that it's a nose wheel airplane.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask, because he doesn't have the tail wheel.
Right. But the one in the back, Bill's, is it's got a fastback canopy on it. It's just it's an addition to the kit.
Okay.
So it doesn't have the pure bubble. His tilts over, but they call that a fastback.
Now, in terms of performance, are all three aircraft roughly the same?
Almost identical. I mean, it depends on the wheel pan alignment, the build, and all kind of stuff, but we're all about 165 to 170 knots on 8.5 gallons an hour. Excellent cross-country airplanes.
Left turn now.
Look at that.
Okay, if you'll pull that cam lock out too, so if we need to get out, we can.
Yep.
For what it's worth, the reason why we all turned to the left is so that way everyone could do their before takeoff checks and engine run up without having another aircraft in front of or behind you, but it wasn't very long before we were all ready to go and it was time to do our formation takeoff.
Right turn now. Lancaster traffic, flight of 3 RVs departing 2-4, and we'll be working the area to the south of the airport. Lancaster.
All right, transponder, I'm still squawking. I got all my lights on, strobe lights, landing lights are off, fuel pumps on, flaps are good. Canopy's closed and locked, shoulder harness is on. You ready in the back?
Ready to go.
All right, let's go.
As we pulled onto the runway, I want to point out that if you've never done a formation takeoff before, the pilot in the lead aircraft is going to look over and make sure we're ready, and then he gives the signal to run up the engine. And you're going to stand on the brakes, and as soon as we're ready, he's going to tap his helmet, and when his chin hits his chest, that's the signal to release brakes. Now, as the wingman, your job is to maintain your side of the runway while making very small power adjustments to keep up with the lead aircraft. The pilot in the lead shouldn't be using full power for takeoff. That way you have a little bit of a power advantage if you need it, and both aircraft should end up rotating about the same time, and as soon as we get airborne, you're going to see Jerry slide over closer to the lead aircraft to tuck into the correct formation position.
All right, now it's going to look a little bit different to you, but see the outboard aileron hinge on the bottom of the wing?
Right.
Put that to superimpose it over his spinner.
Got it.
And then I'm looking from where I'm in the right position. I want you to get what it looks like. I can see about 2 inches of his elevator on the opposite side.
Way 2-4, southbound departure.
The past his rudder and everything. I want to make sure you got some kind of picture to work on.
What Jerry is talking about is the sight picture that you're trying to recreate when you look at the other airplane, because that's the easiest way to tell if you're in the correct formation position. And even though there are some minor differences between the picture that Jerry sees in the front versus what I can see from the back seat, it's pretty close to the same thing. But if I didn't learn this now, then the rest of the flight was going to be very challenging for me.
Well, it's a beautiful day to go flying.
It is, isn't it?
By the way, the thing that you see on the right side of the screen is an adjustable sunshade, and it's something that's going to become a problem later in the flight, but we'll get to that point in a minute. First, I just want to point out that things got a little confusing after we got airborne, and that's because we were the number 2 aircraft, and since we were on the right side on takeoff for the winds, that put us on the outside of the turn, even though the briefing was for us to be on the inside of the turn. So the flight lead could have had us cross under to his left side as soon as we started that turn, and that way he could see us while also monitoring the number 3 aircraft during the rejoin, and then number 3 would have rejoined to the outside of the formation. Now, I realize that might seem like a minor detail and maybe even a little confusing, but these are the type of things that you debrief after the flight is over because it's an opportunity to learn from it and do better next time. Regardless, we ended up getting everyone where they needed to be, and now it was time to start some basic formation work.
All right, he's just kicking us out.
Yeah, so you can see that rudder pedal, or the rudder moving back and forth there to push everybody out the route.
Yeah. All right, I got an ops check. I got my fuel set. Fuel pump is off. All the lights are like they ought to be. I'm going to turn light ops check.
Just to clarify, we are now in the route formation position, which is simply just a wider formation position, and it gives the wingman the opportunity to stretch out a little bit so you're not focused as much on the lead aircraft. And as you heard a few seconds ago, it gives you time to do an ops check, just verifying your fuel and making sure everything looks normal. But it wasn't long before the flight lead rocked his wings, signaling for us to get back into close formation.
Now, did you build this aircraft yourself?
I did not.
Okay.
I bought it. It had 300 hours on it when I bought it. And I've put 4 engines, 5 props, rewired it completely, 3 instrument panels. But I didn't build the frame.
Do you think somebody that has zero experience building an aircraft could successfully put one of these together?
Absolutely. If they, I mean, you got to have a little bit of mechanical ability, but they're such a great support network, especially for the vans. But yeah, the plans are really good. The newer kits, the RV-14 and the 10 and the 9 or the 12 are all pre-punched, so you don't even have to jig them up or anything. You just start. You got to deburr and dimple the holes and all that. But all you got to do is line up the holes, put the clecos in, and start riveting.
Now, what would the cost for one of these aircraft run today?
Probably now, equipped IFR and everything, it's probably going to cost you $130 to build it.
Roughly about how long does it take, you think, for somebody to put one of these together?
If not a lot of experience at all, you know, new guys usually take 2,500 to 3,000 hours.
Okay. You mentioned IFR, so are they all the kits IFR capable?
Well, it depends on how you equip them, because we go under the same FARs. We have to meet all the requirements that a regular STC airplane does. The radios and nav stuff, we've all got to have certified navs and backup gyros and all that kind of stuff.
All right.
All right, Legs, I'm going to slide out for a minute and let him play. All right, I've got the airplane pretty much trimmed down. It's got manual trim, so if you get too much out, just holler at me and I will trim it. But all right, you got the airplane?
The controls?
It's pretty much a rudder-free airplane. Formation, I like, if we need to slide in or out, I like to use them. You got the throttle back there, you can't hurt anything.
Okay.
And just get the feel of it.
Okay, now that I was starting to learn the sight pictures, this was my first opportunity to get a feel for the aircraft, and to be honest, it only took a few seconds because it just felt natural to me with the control stick, almost like a fighter jet, and it was very stable, and I only needed very small fingertip inputs to get it to move. However, in order to get a true sense of how the aircraft performed, we needed to do some maneuvering, and that meant it was time to knock out our first mission objective, which was to practice basic formation, where I would be evaluated on 3 different maneuvers. First, we were going to do some wing work, followed by some close trail, and then some extended trail, and I'll explain each of these as we go through them.
The only thing it does is it yaws in turbulence. I always keep my feet on the rudder pedal. I'm kind of like a yaw.
What are we cruising at right now, like 130?
We're 140 indicated.
Okay. What do you normally cruise at when you're not doing formation flight?
About 155 indicated, 160, and then up at altitude, like I say, we're 165 to 170 true.
And you still burning about 8 gallons an hour doing that?
Yep. That's a very, very efficient airplane.
Yeah.
And you can, whatever you feel comfortable with, you can put us wherever you want.
Okay, I'll tuck us in here.
All right. And don't be, jets are so much different, but don't be afraid to use the power. You're not going to hurt the engine. A lot of guys want to baby them, but these engines just don't really care.
Now, what are you, when you get, for your close formation here, like I can see kind of where,
okay,
like
see
the
aileron hinge on the outboard out here on the bottom of the wing, there's a little triangle sticking down.
Yeah.
From the front seat, put that on the center. So we're just maybe like a foot too far forward right now.
Yep. And then what about
look across his airplane, and you should be able to see about that much of the horizontal on the elevator on the other side behind the rudder.
Yeah.
And that'll keep us on the line, seeing that much of his elevator on the in and out, and seeing his hinge imposed on the spinner gives us our vertical clearance.
Okay.
And then, we don't like to fly where we can see the top of the wing.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
But that to me looks perfect right there.
Yeah, so the reference for that aileron hinge on the spinner, it ends up being a little bit just forward of the spinner.
Yeah, because that 3 feet in the back seat makes a big difference. So much nicer to have somebody that's got formation sense. You know, airplanes are all different, but they all fly basically the same.
Well, a lot of it, like civilian pilots don't ever have any exposure to this.
That's right.
And so you don't get the experience of seeing line of sight cues.
Yep.
I mean, because like you were talking about in the briefing, it's very easy to get sucked out of the formation because you're not recognizing the other aircraft walking away from you, or late to put the power in, or late to make that correction.
Yep.
Just like that.
Yeah. That's good. You'll get the feel of it.
All right, I'll admit that it was a little bit challenging trying to fly formation in a new aircraft while also trying to explain to the audience what's happening. And you might have noticed that we started to drift aft and out of position, and that was because I was late to increase the power when I saw the lead aircraft turning away from us, and that's what Jerry and I were talking about.
Well, the other thing is, sometimes you put in that correction, you got to give it time to work, right? Because otherwise you're going to face yourself in some sort of PIO.
Especially if you get behind, if you're backing up, you put in just enough power to stop it, and that's not enough to catch up. So power's always just nudging back and forth.
Speaking of Jerry, he often goes by the nickname Widget, as you saw on his hat, and one of the reasons why he's so good at this is because he's been flying for over 50 years. He served in the Air Force in the 1970s and then flew for Delta Airlines from 1979 until 2004, and then he became an airshow pilot from 2008 until 2015, and he has over 26,000 hours of total flight time, so I was definitely in great hands.
All right, I'm going to head nite him.
Okay, and that's a single pump for him.
He's moving over, so we're going to we'll just slide over.
And
That's plenty of spacing right there. Okay, now you can just slide right on over. And I'm watching him. Okay, now you can go ahead and start easing the way up. And that's about twice as far back as we actually want to be.
Okay.
That was very
And then you just want to start easing up, picking up your sight picture again. All right, Bill's coming in.
Yeah, unlike a fighter jet, I've got this prop on the.
Yeah, I know it.
Well,
I'll tell you a story about that prop.
Okay, you just heard Jerry say that I was a little bit too far aft during that cross under, and one of the reasons why is because my visibility was somewhat limited from the back seat. However, that was primarily because of the sunshade that I was talking about earlier, but also I was still getting a feel for the aircraft and was just being cautious because of the prop out front and just not wanting to get us too close to the lead aircraft.
You mentioned, it's a great little plane for cross country. Do you do a lot of cross country in it, or do you tend to just do it more for fun flying?
Oh no, I fly this mostly cross country. I've had it so long. I still like to go out and fly once a week just to keep me and the oil warmed up. We're going to Texas in it next week. I think on it to Los Angeles. Go all over the southeast all the time.
So what sort of baggage?
I can put 90 pounds in the front and that's a single pump.
Okay.
Hey, we're acknowledged, so all we're going to do, he doesn't have to move, we're going to just go that way.
Go right back. All right, now you tell me how far out.
Okay, that's good space and go right across. Okay. So don't get any farther back and go ahead and start the power up so we can catch up with you. Perfect. Okay, there's the double. He's coming across. So I would suspect we're getting ready to do echelons or a pitch up.
So you said 100 pounds of baggage.
Yeah, in the front and 45 in the back. So soft side, Carrie and I, she weighs 150, so we can get me, her, full fuel, and about 100 pounds of bags, and we're still under gross in this airplane.
Okay.
All right, we had to do one more turn before we could begin our close trail formation. And as we were doing that, I want to clarify a few things that we've talked about so far regarding the RV-8. First of all, if you build the aircraft yourself from the kit, it takes about 2,000 hours depending on your experience level, but there are also quick build kits that can significantly reduce that time required, or you can just buy a used one that's already built. The engine on most RV-8s is capable of about 180 horsepower, but you can always go higher with a different engine. However, you don't really need to because the aircraft is so light. It only weighs about 1,100 pounds empty and has a max gross weight of 1,800 pounds and can hold up to 42 gallons of fuel. At its max gross weight, the stall speed is around 58 miles per hour, and you only need about 500 to 700 feet to take off or land, and you should be able to get about 800 miles range out of it, which makes it a great option for an aircraft that's really fun to fly, but also to take cross country. Either way, we can cross off the wing work from our objectives, and it was time to begin close trail.
All right, we're going close trail.
Okay. So where do you
Just ease straight over. We're number 2.
C's on over?
Yep, ease on over, and then keep on going forward. And I don't know what your picture is going to look like back there. Let me.
Okay.
I'm going to be on the throttle and just put you up just a little bit. All right, I reckon let's go up some. We're good. I got the air. Let me put us right in.
Okay, you have the controls?
All right.
Okay, I think now you're seeing why that sunshade was such a problem for me. This was pretty much the view that I had, so I was leaning forward a little bit trying to get a better view, and I wish I had said something to Jerry about it sooner because it would have made flying in this position a lot easier. Regardless, I did the best that I could to use the visual references that I could see, and basically I was just watching for line of sight movement from the lead aircraft to determine if we were drifting out of position or closing in on him too quickly.
Okay, that's a good vertical. A little bit low still.
Yep.
All right, just to clarify, the reason why we fly close trail isn't just to look good. This is all about mastering precision. As you can see, we're only a few feet behind the lead aircraft, trying to match every pitch, roll, and power change instantly, and the reason that's important is because it helps you learn how to read subtle movements and anticipate what's coming next. Close trail is also a great way to develop the trust and discipline you need to make tight formation aerobatics possible. Every correction you make has to be smooth and predictable because when you're this close, even a small mistake can turn into a big one really fast. But now that we're done with close trail, it was time to begin extended trail.
Oh, you didn't announce it, so I guess we're going to go 2-second spacing, and now we'll do extended trail. All right, now just set your power. You're at about 23 inches. That ought to be good.
Okay.
And you can obviously use the power, and then, you just want to keep about that distance on him.
Yeah. Can we slide this shade back at all?
Absolutely. I'm sorry. Oh, man. Oh, you're going to have to undo that little thing on your... He's going up there.
I got him. All right.
And I don't know if it'll go back past the center point, Hoover. I'm sorry about that.
That's all right. There we go.
Good, okay.
Okay.
As you can see, this is a much better view, and it was a whole lot easier to maneuver the aircraft without that sunshade blocking my view. Regardless, the reason why we're practicing extended trail is to learn how to use geometry and energy management to stay in formation. You're still flying off the lead aircraft, but you've got a lot more room to practice lead, lag, and pure pursuit curves, which is just another way of saying where you're pointing your aircraft in relation to lead. Now, as Jerry mentioned, you typically want to set the power and leave it alone because the point is to learn how to maneuver the aircraft and manage your energy without trying to keep up just by using the engine power. Keep in mind that this is the easy version of extended trail because things are going to get a lot harder later on in the video. But for now, we can call this item complete and we were done with our first mission objective, and what you're about to see is the lead aircraft rock his wings to signal that the rejoin is about to begin.
Okay, now put his vertical stab on the outside wingtip. That's the line right there.
Yep.
A little bit acute. You're a little bit acute still. Still we're a little bit acute. Okay, now it's coming back there. You're back just about, not quite on the line, but you're close.
And what's the fuel tank capacity?
42 gallons.
Okay.
Which you're not burn H. So I've flown this airplane 5 hours, getting up real high, back to 7.5 gallons.
Okay.
Okay, he's coming. He's going to break the other way.
Back down here.
All right, that was a left turning rejoin, and the reason why the number 3 aircraft is crossing behind us is because now you're going to see the lead aircraft pitch out, and we're going to follow him 3 seconds in trail, so that way we have the spacing to do a rejoin turning to the right. And this is where you need to understand that formation flying is all about precision and safety. And because there are various reasons why 2 aircraft might become separated during a flight, it's important to practice how to safely re-enter the formation without overshooting or becoming a hazard. And the thing is, you have to keep in mind that when you're approaching another aircraft that's doing 130 knots, you need to constantly monitor your closure rate and the angles to ensure that you're matching both the speed and the flight path of that lead aircraft. but you're also relying on that lead aircraft to maintain a stable platform and stay predictable. And to top it all off, the pilot leading the formation should also be looking back at the other aircraft occasionally in order to monitor the rejoin for safety reasons. Overall, this rejoin was pretty expeditious, and it only took about 60 seconds from the time he signaled to start the rejoin until we were in position.
Keep it coming, just keep sliding on up it. Keep it coming, keep it coming, keep it coming. Go, and you're in right there.
Okay, at this point, I was feeling pretty comfortable doing the rejoin, so we can call that mission objective complete, but now it's time to turn up the heat and try a little bit more aggressive formation flying, and once we were done, it would be time to head back home, where I was going to get a chance to land a tailwheel aircraft for the very first time.
All right, en route, I'm going to switch fuel tanks. We've burned about 3.5 gallons. Pumps are on, all that good. Temps are good.
Traffic radio check.
We're running good temps. We're fuel flow, fuel's balanced. Got more on the right. That's where I am. Okay.
All right, Widget, are ready for a little more aggressive?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's try.
All right, he's rocking us in. All right, we're coming across. That's good distance. Don't go any farther back.
As we got positioned on the left side, the number 3 aircraft was going to move over to the right, and I want to take a second to mention that the pilot flying the lead aircraft goes by the nickname Legs, and he's currently the head of the Skytypers, a civilian aerial advertising team that's been around since the 1930s, flying 5 or more aircraft in precision formation to write massive messages across the sky. But all that being said, Legs has about 45 years of experience as a pilot, so I knew the formation was in good hands.
A little bit high on him, Hoover. Yep, there you go. That's good right there.
Pay attention to how close we get during the close trail and see if you notice a difference from last time, and also watch how the lead aircraft is a lot more aggressive in his maneuvering compared to earlier. That being said, before the flight, we talked about the risks of what we were doing today, but one risk that doesn't get talked about enough is insurance. You see, most pilots assume that they're covered right up until the moment they realize they're not. That's why I use Avemco. They're the only aviation insurance company that works directly with pilots instead of hiding behind middlemen.
This stuff is kind of habit forming. I tell you what, we love doing this.
The challenge for me is trying to remember how to do this.
Oh, I know it.
While still interviewing.
Talking and interviewing. Oh, I know it. It's hard.
Now, even though this close trail was a little bit of a challenge, the one thing that's not tough is reaching out to Avemco. That's because they understand what it's like to fly, and you can pick up a phone and talk to a real person, not some AI automation. And the thing is, whether you're flying an experimental RV-8, or maybe you're renting an aircraft from a local flying club, or perhaps you're a student pilot just starting out, Avemco is going to tailor your coverage for what you need, not the other way around.
Anyway, usually 2-3 day clinics will get most people wingman carded.
Okay.
And then to be lead, you've just got to go, have more experience. And then there's a lead syllabus, or, you got to run the briefings and plan the flights. It's just like upgrading in the Air Force.
Yeah.
Experience and show them you can do it. Oh yeah, we've trained so many people at this. I just love to watch people. I mean, you just jumped right in. You know what the hell you're doing. It's fun to watch people progress up to where they're just a red scary guy or they're just a good wingman.
All right, you might have noticed that Jerry has mentioned the term red scary guy at least twice now. That's a term in the civilian world for a pilot that's new to formation flying, designating their status as scary until they move up and complete training. And speaking of training, when it comes to Avemco, if you do recurrent training or complete a safety course, you might actually be eligible for discounts on your insurance because Avemco believes, like I do, that safer pilots deserve better rates. You all know that one of my goals is to help pilots stay safe, and Avemco is a proud supporter of that mission, and content like this wouldn't be possible without them. So be sure to scan one of the QR codes on the screen to get connected with a real person at Avemco to find out what they can do for you, and to make sure you've got the right coverage you need before your next flight.
1003, there we go.
At this point, we were done with close trail, and all we had left to do was another quick round of extended trail. And the only reason why I decided to share this next round with you is because of what I messed up and how I had to fix it. Alright, first of all, you'll notice that I was trying to stay high above the lead aircraft, and that's so I could trade my altitude for airspeed and cut inside the turn if I needed to catch back up and stay in formation. Basically, I just wanted to maintain an energy advantage.
Available.
What's the beeping for?
That's my AOA.
Okay.
It's a built-in, and actually, mine's only really good and accurate in landing. Sometimes, like when you float it over, it's one of these predetermined AOAs.
He's reversed on me.
Yeah.
Get back inside here. I mean, that's the thing. You just got to learn to use the angles.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Alright, I cut out a few minutes of the footage here because I wanted to get to the point where I messed up.
All right, he's coming in. He's rejoining. I can't tell which way. Left turn rejoin. Keep coming. There you go.
All right, there he is.
Okay.
All right. Let me get down here out of the way so I can see him again. There we go. We're well forward now.
As I mentioned, I was trying to stay high to have an energy advantage, and then the lead aircraft signaled for us to rejoin. The only problem was he started turning into me, so that meant I was high and now I was in front of him when I needed to be down low and behind him. Now in hindsight, what I should have done is made a cut to the right and lag, and then when I saw the line of sight moving away from me, I could have traded my altitude for airspeed to cut back to the left, diving down to the inside of the turn to get back on the rejoin line. Instead, I tried cutting further inside, just trying to work my way back, and eventually I got there, but it took too long and I bled off too much airspeed, and unfortunately I didn't have afterburners to help fix my mistake.
Yeah, we were just too forward of the line, and that's a tough problem to fix when he's turning into you.
Oh, I know it.
You know? Yeah, I just wasn't in the best position when we started.
All right, what else you want to play with?
Hey, I'm good. You know, this is a lot of fun.
It is, isn't it?
That's the workout.
Okay, at this point we were done with the extended trail, so we could mark that off the list, but we can also call our third mission objective complete, and now it was time to head home where I would try landing the RV-8 for the very first time and finally mark this aircraft off my list of aircraft to fly. As we started to head back towards the airfield, let me just say that I had a lot of fun flying with these guys today and getting a chance to experience a little bit of what it's like to fly formation with some incredible pilots that have performed at air shows all around the country. The RV-8 is a remarkable airplane, and even though we didn't get a chance to do any aerobatics today, the aircraft is more than capable of doing so, and depending on the weight of the aircraft, it has a limit of +6 to -3 Gs. However, just because the airplane can do something doesn't mean that you should, and I wouldn't recommend anyone trying aerobatics without getting the proper instruction beforehand, and the same goes for formation flying. That being said, even though the RV-8 can't fit my whole family, it would be great to own one at some point down the road for when I just want to do some fun flying by myself or maybe take my wife on short day trips. However, for right now, I was very grateful that Bill reached out and invited me to fly and for hanging out as the number 3 in the formation today, and also to Jerry for his patience with me in the aircraft and his willingness to teach me more about formation flying, and also to Legs for having the patience to lead us through all the maneuvers. Now at this point, I'm going to let this play out so you can see how I did trying to land the RV-8 for the very first time.
Okay, 3 seconds. 1, 2, 1,003. All right, keep him on the horizon. And he should. Now this is what I'm talking about. See, he's rolling out. He's 30 degrees back now. All right, now you can just start dragging power because we're shooting for about 100 knots when we get over the perch. All right, I'm going to push the mixture up, fuel pumps on, all the lights are like we got it set. Okay, now, I'll show you from back there, but that's the line right there. Okay, now just keep him in whatever that is right there.
Okay.
And I'm going to start, I'm going to put a little bit of power back so I can get some flap out.
Okay.
All right, now he's shooting for 80 and we're at 93 right now. All right, 87, I'm going to put the rest of the flaps on.
Manchester traffic,
All right.
11,
Okay.
over the field, to join the downwind 24, Lancaster.
By the way, I also want to thank Avemco for sponsoring this video and for all they do for aviation safety. Be sure to check them out to find out what they can do for you and for your aviation insurance needs.
All right, you got the throttle.
All right, I got the throttle. And now just kind of halfway round out a little bit. We're still about 5 feet in the air. Now just easy hold. Okay, now just hold the stick. Don't pump it. There we go. Now push forward just a little bit. A little bit more. A little bit more. There you go. No, I'm pushing you. Okay. I want you to see the picture.
Okay.
That's about the picture right there for the ground.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Hey, appreciate that. So, Lancaster traffic, Cub 40
right.
Lima Hotel's lining up and waiting.
All right, you got the controls.
All right, I got the aircraft. I got the aircraft. Thanks.
10 miles,
Now that we're back on the ground and the mission is complete, I can finally cross off the RV-8 on my list of aircraft to fly, and it's time to move on to our next mission. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon on Hoover's Hangar.